Good morning. How are you? So, Ali, you're the founder of Inkitt and CEO. You're a software engineer, and I learned you wrote the first lines of the Inkit code roughly 10 years ago.
Right, yeah.
So it has been a 10-year anniversary. And I think even back then you already imagined Inkit becoming kind of like the new Disney, the Disney of the 21st century. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, already quite a while ago, we were thinking about being at the forefront of entertainment and technology. And when I started out, I remember talking to lots of different stakeholders, to investors, etc., and telling them like, yeah, we have this platform, we are measuring with data how writers are writing, how their stories are performing, and they were like, what? Like data, art, that doesn't fit together, like, and then we got like 140 rejections in our first round of funding because people couldn't imagine how you could measure art or like how to connect art and data. And here we are today, we're on stage talking about AI and art. And now it's like common sense and everybody's like, oh, of course, it's totally making sense. So yeah, very glad to have this conversation.
Great. You can explain Inkit and what you can do as an author or a reader on the platform?
Yeah, so Inkit is a platform where all authors in the world can go to start writing their novel. When they're writing fiction, you can start writing your first chapter, get feedback from the community. There are over 300,000 authors right now writing on our platform using the tools we have built for them, where you can go and test your first chapter, you can test your cover picture, you can use the AI tools that we have created for the authors to write more efficiently. And then what we do in the background is that we measure the engagement of the readers with the story that you have written, and measure how people are interacting with the book. Are they staying up all night to finish reading the book? Are they even finishing the book ever? Are they sharing it with their friends and family, etc.? We have lots of different engagement data that we track. And then based on that, we have built a predictive modeling where we know if a story has potential to become a bestseller. And then we have also created a second app in 2019, which is called Galatea. And on Galatea, we are selling the best stories that are coming from Inkit as the publisher. And there we have like a very high success rate with literally every second book that we're publishing is becoming a bestseller, which is like 20, 30, 40 times better than traditional publishing. And we have hundreds of authors that have crossed like $100,000 in sales, tens of authors that are millions in sales. We have now audiobooks there, are working on the first TV deal in Hollywood. So the idea of Inkit is to discover hidden talents and turn them into globally successful authors using the power of technology, data, AI, and this way be a lot better and more efficient than traditional media.
Interesting. Is it fair to say that Inkit was the first company to use AI in the space?
There was literally this headline in 2016 when we select the first book using a traditional data model to see which stories were performing really well on Inkit, and we published that story. That story became a best-selling book. And there was literally this headline, Inkit as the first company ever using AI to select a book and creating a bestseller. So yes, we were the first company in history.
When was this?
In 2016.
16.
Yes.
I think, so full disclosure, I think this was also the same year when the company I work for, Speed Invest, invested as the first VC.
That's
so
correct.
I think we were then
did a good job.
probably fund number 141, what you were talking to, so 140 no's and
Basically,
one
yes.
yes from Sweden Invest. Great. So with the recent breakthrough of LLMs, what do you think? How is AI shaking up the writer space? And maybe you can explain a little bit what recently happened in Hollywood.
Right. So what we have seen, the adoption of AI has been pretty controversial in the artist community. So I feel there's this camp of authors who are like totally making the best use of AI. They're writing more efficiently. They are using it to see AI as a kind of a superpower, where they are focusing on storytelling, right, and letting the AI to do the writing. And that's kind of two different things, storytelling versus writing. So you can focus on your story, focus on the action items, and let the AI write all the filling in between, and get the AI as a helper. And there are a bunch of authors making use of AI that way, who are very future-centric, and they are seeing that AI is the future and that tech is the future. But then there are also authors and writers who are afraid by AI. And as we speak right now, I think it's been now going on for about 3 months, that literally all writers in Hollywood are on strike. So for about the last 3 months, there is barely any project getting done in Hollywood, because all writers that are like under the Guild of Writing, I forgot the name, in Hollywood, are striking because they're afraid of AI. AI is one of the main reasons that they went on strike. And there are no TV shows being produced. There are TV series that are on pause. There are movies that are on pause. And these authors are saying, like, hey, we need to kind of get an assurance that AI is not going to take away our jobs. And I think kind of being against technology and being against advancement of humanity has never really paid out very well. But there are still these kind of type of authors who are shock frozen by the power of AI. And I believe we need to do a better job, I think, us as tech companies, explaining to these authors and writers how they can actually make very good use of AI and see AI as a superpower and not as a threat.
Interesting. Do you think there will be a content explosion with AI, and how will that influence the industry?
I think there's lots of different things that are going to happen by AI becoming more and more mainstream. The really cool cases of that are authors are going to be able to translate their stories in all languages in the world immediately, within a couple of seconds. Authors are going to be able to use tools such as 11 Labs to turn their stories into audiobooks within a couple of seconds. They are going to be able to write different versions of their stories and test different beginnings of their stories, measure which version works. They're going to be able to write a base story and tailor that to lots of different audiences, write a funny version of the same story, write a scary version of the same story. They're going to be able to write tons of different versions. But there is also going to be an explosion in content. So right now, there are about 12 million books on Kindle, Amazon's Kindle. And I think last week there was an article that the front page of Kindle was full of books generated by AI that Amazon very quickly took away. But that's already starting to happen. And maybe out of these 12 million books that are on Amazon, they're going to become maybe 120 million books. However, the consumer power, or the reading time, is not going to change. So there is going to be a lot of competition And this competition is going to be very similar, because right now, already from this 12 million books, the majority is not being read at all. Right? And now having 120 million books on Amazon, still nobody's going to read it. So you still need to do a really good job being a very good storyteller, and you need to do a very good job doing the marketing. So I think the amount of the content explosion is not going to have the impact that people think it's going to have. It's just going to be very different.
Yeah. We were talking about a feature that you're about to launch, which would me help a lot. I always get lost. I don't know where I am in the book and what happened in the last chapter. So maybe you can tell us about this helpful feature.
Yeah, there's tons of different features where we're creating to help authors and readers make use of AI. I think the feature that you're referring to is when you start reading a book, and then you know what's happening, you're super excited about it, but then what usually happens is something comes in life, and then you might not be reading for a week or two, and then when you continue reading, it's usually quite a hassle to kind of figure out, go back and reread the last couple of chapters or like pages to see what was happening before you can read continuing. And like being able to use AI to just like create an automatic recap of like what you were just reading, and like just like you open the book and it says like, hey, the last 5 pages, here is a recap, so you can continue reading immediately, an automated recap feature. There's this kind of features that we're building. We are helping authors to generate audiobooks using very natural sounding AI voices. We are helping authors create chatbots for the characters in the book, so you can where we're feeding the entire book into the AI, and you're able to have an interaction with the character. Soon you're gonna be able to have a phone call with the character. So there's lots of different ways to make use of AI, and the one that I'm very, very excited about is something that we're working on is personalized stories. So we are going to be able to see, based on your reading pattern on Galatea, what type of books you are primarily interested in. Is it mostly with dark humor? Is it mostly happy endings? Or what are the details and things that actually makes you like a story? And us being able to adjust an already existing book and fine-tune it, just personalized for you, and give you that very personalized experience. And I think this is the direction that I'm really excited about. Less about the content explosion, but more about personalized tailoring of stories.
Yeah, so we read the same title, but it has a different ending. So my character dies, and you're surviving.
Yeah, mine's is surviving.
Yeah. So all of most of the features we were talking about, I think, are possible right now, and you've launched them already or are about to launch them. Is there anything a little bit further out that you think will be possible, and could you explain us what that could be?
Yeah, I was talking to the founder of Stability AI the other week, and we were talking about how long is it going to take for videos to be able to be on the same level as like text generation is right now, and using generative AI for videos. And his prediction was like it's going to take about 2 years until we are there. However, at the same time, what we're seeing is that there are game engines such as like Unreal Engine 5 that are like super realistic graphics, and you can barely distinguish between reality and and the things that this game engines are producing. And I think like probably there's going to be like an intermediary stage up until in 2 years where you're going to be able to use generative AI to generate code that is going to help you generate video games with Unreal Engine 5, for example. Where you're going to be able to have characters talking to each other, you're going to have like movie scenes, etc. So I think like pretty soon already we will be able to make use of generative AI in lots of different ways to generate videos, and that's something that I'm really excited about, to be able to launch like one of the first TV series or movies created by generative AI, and giving this kind of superpowers to the creators, to the authors, so that the authors can tell their stories within a couple of seconds, like after they have written them, in lots of different formats, be it text or be it audiobook or be it in a video format, so that they can purely focus on the world building and what they're really good at, the storytelling part, and we can help them tell the stories to the masses in different formats.
Interesting. For me, as an investor, I think there's a question: did we already miss AI because the big models are in place and only these models or large incumbents can play a role there, or is there room for many new entrants? So John Luttig, an investor with Founders Fund, recently called it the hallucinations of the VCs about AI. So I think for some there's hope. Other people think it's already over. They lost. And some people are, we are doing well, we are doing okay, it's not that bad. Where do you think is the development going, and is there many new companies popping up, or is it all going in a power play, power law, as we saw in operation systems, for example?
It's a very good question. It's I love predicting the future, so let's hope if we get it right. Let's see what happens. Like just last week alone, I was reading that there was like $2 billion funding rounds in the AI world. I don't remember who was it, who were like, it was a legal AI company that was acquired for $1 billion or something, and there was another $1 billion funding round, and so there's a lot happening right now in the space. It's really tough to see where it's going. There's also a lot of hype. There is a lot of people who are just like talking about it without really deeply understanding it. So there's just so much happening. At the same time, what we already see is that there is a lack of fine-tuned AI models, and there is definitely a lot of room to fine-tuning all these models to specific use cases. So right now, like even a GPT-4 with ChatGPT can write text, but it's not always great. It's not always good text. It's not always writing bestseller text, right? So there's a lot of room for improvement, and I really believe that this hype is going to persist at least for another 2 years. Yeah.
Great. So all the founders in the room and VCs, there's still hope, Ali says. Time is up. Thank you so much, Ali. Super interesting.
Thank you so much, Julian.
And
thank you. Stay. We have maybe time for 2 questions. Yeah. Unfortunately, only 2 because we have a bunch. So large language models are based on a lot of existing data. How could AI help create original thoughts and stories? Isn't plagiarism a big risk?
Very good question. Like plagiarism, this is one of the big things that the authors are afraid of, and there's a lot of people thinking about it. And I believe yesterday I was reading this article about the EU working on a law for AI, and to also deal with plagiarism, and AIs have to now label where they're getting their data from. So this is definitely something that I think humanity and all the different governments need to figure out and then put laws in places. I'm also one of the people who are like definitely for laws in the AI space, because it can go very easily out of hand. But we need to select the right laws, and that's going to be the difficult thing. And it's going to be interesting to see like which countries are going to create the best laws that are not going to kill the innovation, but still like not harm artists and their creativity.
Unfortunately, we can't go through all the questions, but he's going to be around maybe for a few more moments, so you can maybe ask directly. But just lastly, when do you think are we going to see a blockbuster movie created by AI or written by AI?
When? A movie?
Yeah. What's the timeline you think? Or will we ever?
It definitely will be, and it's going to be probably like, it's going to start with like specific scenes created by AI, and I think it's not going to be longer than in 2 years from now, where we're going to have like a scene in a big blockbuster movie being purely generated by AI.
You heard
2
it.
years. Watch
Thank
out.
you guys so much. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So yeah, if you want to ask some questions, maybe people can approach you there.
Sounds
great.
good.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
joining.
much.
Yeah, all the best.